Lisa Shaw with LisaShawCares.com, where I have the pleasure to help current and emerging leaders to master their mindsets, gain fierce clarity, obliterate obstacles, and reach their desired goals. And I love doing it. I want to talk to you today about a topic that I think is super important. This is part 2 of a probably 3 or 4 part series that I'm doing, ending 2022, entering 2023. This is primarily for my hashtag Lisa Shaw Cares group of women on Facebook. However, I thought this evening that I would tape this. I certainly will download it in that group, but I also wanted to have the opportunity to share this message on my YouTube and perhaps other areas, because I believe that it's a message for any woman that can receive it. I want to talk to you about stopping the bleeding. Stopping the bleeding. I know right now you're probably thinking, where in the world is she going with this? Hang on for the ride. I want to take you to Mark 5, verses 25 through 34, a very familiar passage of scripture. The woman with the issue of blood. If we've been around the things of God and been in the Word for any length of time, we certainly know that story, the woman with the issue of blood. But I want to read this to you, and then I want to talk to you about it. Mark 5, 25 through 34. A woman in the crowd had suffered from a hemorrhage for 12 years and had endured much suffering at the hands of many physicians. She had spent all that she had and was not helped at all, but instead had become worse. She had heard reports about Jesus, and she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his outer robe, for she thought, if I just touch his clothing, I will get well. Immediately, her flow of blood was dried up, and she felt in her body and knew without any doubt that she was healed of her suffering. Immediately, Jesus, recognizing in himself that power had gone out from him, one version says virtue had gone out from him, turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" His disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in around you from all sides, and you ask, 'Who touched me?'" Still, he kept looking around to see the woman who had done it. And the woman, though she was afraid and trembling, aware of what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. Ooh, there's something about telling the whole truth. I often say to the women that I have the pleasure to teach, mentor, or coach, I always tell them, tell yourself the truth. God already knows the truth. Tell yourself the truth and tell God the truth, because that helps us. It helps us to be able to receive from him what we need. Verse 34, then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith, your personal trust and confidence in me has restored you to health. Go in peace and be permanently healed from your suffering." There is so much that we can take from the woman with the issue of blood, that nameless woman. Let me just say a couple of points as I go along. Don't worry about who knows your name. Don't worry about who doesn't know your name. God knows your name. He knew you before you ever were created in your mother's womb. He preordained for you to even be here in this time, in this space, in this place on earth. God ordained that. Nobody else did. So you might be nameless on your job. You might be nameless in your place of worship. You might be nameless in your business. And when I say nameless, I mean you might not be recognized the way other people might be recognized. But God sees you and God recognizes you and God knows your name. He knows the numbers of hair on your head. Okay, so this is a wig, but underneath that is my hair. God knows the numbers of hair on my head. He even knows the numbers of hair on this wig. He knows the numbers of hair on your head. You are engrafted in his hand. That's how important you are to God. So here, what I want to talk to you about tonight is stopping the bleeding. as women who are leaders, women who are serving other people, whether that's in your home, on your job, in your place of business, in your ministry, whatever it is that you do, if you are impacting the life of someone else, then you're a leader. If you are influencing the lives of other people, then you're a leader. Don't run away from that word. Some of my clients, I had to help them to see themselves as the leader that they already are. But sometimes, particularly in the Christian community, we assign the title of leader only to certain designated individuals or certain specific areas of service. But a leader, you have leaders on the job, you have leaders in the home, leaders in the community. There's a woman that I just think is phenomenal at our grocery store, our local grocery store. And I'm sure in the role that she's in, she's not referenced as a leader, but I'll tell you something, she's a leader. She is a leader. The way she carries herself, the way she greets people, the influence that she has on you. You walk in and she greets you, and it's just whatever you were coming in there with, whatever was on your heart, her smile, her greeting, it just touches your heart. And I'm sure that she's influencing other people. No matter what she's going through, there's always a smile. She always has a greeting. She's always asking you about you and always wishing you a great day. She's a leader. She has influence. And I'm sure she doesn't realize the magnitude of it. I'm going to have to help her with that because she's amazing. So using this powerful faith-walking nameless woman, the woman with the issue of blood, let's look at some of what I believe it took for her to walk the walk she walked. And I want us to apply it spiritually, practically, and tangibly to our lives as we prepare to exit 2022 and enter 2023. And I want to give you the word that I believe matters a lot. And I know you're going to think I'm going to say faith. Well, of course, faith, but that's not the word I'm going to give you. Of course, faith. She had to have faith in order to press in as hard as she did, as long as she did, 12 years. In order to see her breakthrough, to see her healing come to her, to see her deliverance. And let me stick a pen right there. Remember I said I'm going to be pausing along the way. Deliverance is not just demonic. It's not just people who have demonic influence in their lives that they need to be delivered from. I think sometimes, again, we use that type of language, deliverance, that she needs deliverance from something, and we automatically think, oh, they must be talking about demonic activity. That's not always the case. This woman needed deliverance. She needed to be delivered from that issue of blood, from that hemorrhaging for 12 years. She needed healing and she needed freedom from it. Freedom is deliverance. She needed that. So there might be something in your life where you're saying, you know what, I need God to step in. I need to be freed from this. Maybe it's a medical condition. I understand. I'm on year 11 with something that I'm dealing with my esophagus. So it might be that you're saying, I need a medical healing, Lisa, or I need a physical healing. That sometimes is a little bit different from a medical condition. Or maybe it's a spiritual healing you need, an emotional healing you need, a psychological healing that you need. Maybe you need healing in a relationship or, or some other type of area. And so here this woman needed to be healed, needed to be freed and delivered from 12 years of hemorrhaging. So I want to give you the word that came to my mind, and we're going to use it as an acronym. So I hope you have pad and pen or the notes section of your cell phone or whatever you want to use. The word is attitude. And we're going to use that as an acronym tonight. Attitude. This woman had to have the right attitude to walk through 12 years of literal hell. Just think back to biblical times When a woman had an issue of blood, or even when it was that time of the month, her husband couldn't come near her. I mean, not even physically near her, okay? And so just think, I'm sure this woman was shunned by the community. You know, she probably didn't have a husband because a man is not mentioned in the word. We're going to assume there was no husband, no children, no family. And had there been family or friends, they probably disowned her because she was bleeding for years. Could you just imagine when you're walking through something a long time? You know how sometimes people can be. They start saying, oh, there must be something going on with her. She must be in sin. There must be something going on. Why? Because she's been dealing with this for so long. Maybe her faith is weak. Maybe she's struggling in some way. We need to stop being critical and judgmental, because if you're not walking in the shoes of that person, you don't know. They probably are walking really passionately with God, but they're going through for a long time. For a long time. And so here she's gone through all this suffering, but she never gave up. And so I want us to use this nameless, powerful, faith-filled woman, the woman with the issue of blood. And I want us to walk through the word attitude as an acronym. And I want us to look at this story a little bit differently tonight from perhaps the way we're accustomed to either hearing it or accustomed to teaching it and preaching it or speaking it to other people. I want us to take it into this acronym, and I want us to look at this attitude as an acronym as it relates to our own lives and what we are looking to have happen as we exit 2022 and enter into 2023. And if you're not yet thinking about it, I want to encourage you to think about it and examine your life and get before God and see what needs to happen differently. Where do you need to surrender some things to God? Where do you need some healing? Where do you need some help and some support? What changes do you need personally, spiritually, but also professionally perhaps? Or with your business or your ministry or in your education or whatever it is that you do. I primarily serve women leaders on personal development, leadership development, spiritual development, and how that then impacts their ability to serve their families, to serve in their community, to serve on their job, to serve through their businesses, to serve in their ministries, to serve through organizations, to serve in their place of worship. That's my primary areas: personal development, spiritual development, leadership development. So, attitude as an acronym. Let's look at A. A is ask for what you need. Ask for what you need. Ask for what you need from God. That means prayer. And ask for what you need from maybe even a person, a specific person. Ask God to send you what you need, but also ask for what you need. One of the things that I find that is really harmful for women is you begin to assume that someone knows what you need. That is so dangerous, because that opens you to the wrong attitude. Because then you start to feel that, well, they don't care, or she doesn't care, or he doesn't care. It's not that people don't care. They might not know what you need. You know, we've been married 32 years, my husband and I, 32 years and counting. And I tell you, early on, I had to learn that I couldn't assume that Peter knew what I needed. I had to ask him for what I needed. And in time, he grew into, of course, we're together as long as we are, he grew into knowing most of what I needed. And still, sometimes I might have to share with him, you know, babe, this is what I need right now. And that's okay. And he does that with me too. But ask for what you need so that there's clarity and not the opportunity for something negative. Ask for what you need as it relates to your business. If you need someone to advocate for you, or if you need to grow in a particular area, to be a stronger, better leader, find that thing that you need to help you and ask for what you need. Ask for help even in finding whatever it is that you need. So that's number one. The A in attitude, ask for what you need. That nameless, powerful, faith-filled woman asked for what she needed. How do we know that, Lisa? Well, because she spent all her money at doctors. So we know that she was going to doctors on a consistent basis, asking for what she needed, asking for help, asking for diagnosis, asking for treatment, asking for change, asking for something to be done differently so that she could be healed through that. Ask for what you need. And ultimately, we know that she touched the hem of Jesus's garment and got what she needed. But ask for what you need. Letter T. Remember, we're doing attitude as an acronym. T. Think it through. Think it through. Don't just say or do something without thinking it through. Think it through. Think a thought through. Don't be reactive. Be proactive. Think it through. I'm sure that that precious woman had so much time to sit and think things through, to think through her situation. Why? Because she endured it for 12 years. And as I said earlier, particularly in biblical times, I'm sure that she was shunned. So she's in this thing by herself, trying to work it through, trying to figure it out. There's some value to us slowing down enough to think it through. Think through your business decisions. Think through who you call friend. Think through who you get into a relationship with. Think through what house of worship you connect yourself to. Think through what videos, podcasts, and books you connect yourself to. Think it through. Think it through. Think through the decisions that you make in your own personal care. Think it through. And as you're thinking it through, lift it to God. Pray. Remember, number 1A was ask for what you need. And so we should be in that frame of mind of prayer and talking to God about whatever our needs are, because God already knows the best and has the best for you. So A is ask for what you need. T is think it through. The next T is time to heal. Give yourself time to heal. But what you do during that time is important. You know, for decades I've heard, and literally decades, because I've been alive a long time, praise God. I'm not old, but I'm 56. And you always hear, give it time. Give it time. Oh, you just need time to heal. In time, you'll heal. We've heard those things said. We've all said them ourselves, but here's the reality. Time does not heal. It's what we do during that time that brings about the healing that we need. So take steps to receive Jesus's healing. If you need healing from a broken heart, if you've been disrespected, hurt, gossiped about, lied on, lied to, dismissed, overlooked, pushed aside, if you've walked through some hell, if you've had some hurts in your life, past or present, that you're dealing with, and you're saying, you know what, it's time for me to heal. I really want to heal from this. Then you're going to have to give yourself that time to heal. But what you do during that time is what will bring about that healing. Getting with the Lord, praying for healing from the hurts that you have. Get in the word. Take the word on healing, on wholeness, on comfort, on strength, whatever it is that you have been dealing with, and pray that word over yourself. Declare that word over yourself. And if you need counseling or therapy, go get that too. Get what you need to get to that place. This woman went to doctors, and it says physicians, right, that she gave all her money to. So those could have been primary doctors, specialists, therapists. It could have been a combination of doctors that she was trying to get the help that she needed, right? And she spent all her money on that. It's important, though, for us to go to the doctor if that's what you need to do. Get a therapist if that's what you need to do. But don't do that instead of Jesus. Do that along with Jesus, right? And so ultimately, this powerful nameless woman is going through all that expense and going to doctors and taking steps to do what she knew to do to get healed. And then ultimately, Jehovah Rapha, our healer, that balm of Gilead, the Lord Jesus Christ, he's the one that when she just touched his cloak, she was healed. But there is nothing wrong with going to the doctors or going for therapy. Whatever it is that you need, So it's what you do during that time frame of healing. It's not just, oh, in time you'll be healed. It's what we do. You got to go after that healing and receive the healing that you need. Okay, so we did A-T-T, now I. Intentional patience. Intentional patience. That is being deliberately patient or intentionally patient with yourself and through the situations that you deal with, and being intentionally patient with people. I'm sure that that woman had to call on every ounce of patience that she possibly could. Pray the fruit of the Spirit over yourself from Galatians 5. Patience is a fruit of the Spirit. I think we all struggle in that. That's one of my areas, okay? I don't have patience for foolishness. I don't have patience for people that create division and discord. I'm just telling on myself. I don't have patience for people who are disruptive and who have personal agenda or have manipulative or restrictive spirits, and they're not trying to get free from it. I don't have patience for that. Pray for me. Because those are behaviors that ultimately hurt other people, not just the person that it's coming from, but they often hurt other people. As Joyce Meyer, I know people today try to claim this as their saying, but in 1986, Joyce Meyer was saying, hurting people hurt people, and that's true, sadly. So be intentionally patient with yourself. And give yourself what you need to walk through, the patience that you need to deal with whatever you're dealing with, whether it's emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, financially, personally, in relationships, in decisions that you need to make. Ask God for wisdom to make those decisions. Ask Him to help you to walk through it patiently. Patiently. Then T, take better care of yourself unapologetically. Unapologetically. We are in the time now, in the seasons of time now in society where self-care has been given attention in the Christian community in ways that it never had been before. The era I came up in, I don't even think we used the word self-care. I don't remember it. But I do remember the culture and the mindset and the disposition where I came from. That might not be your experience, but where I came from, where saying I need rest or I'm not feeling myself, or, you know, I came from here from hearing, you know, deal with it, let go and let God, you know, suck it up, work it through, work it out, give it to God, let it go. Do what you need to do, right? Gird up your loins. I came out of that. And there is some validity and value to that. But realistically, we need to take better care of ourselves unapologetically. And so under that T, I have here, see the doctor for your physicals, for your mammograms, for your pap smears. See the doctor. Have healthy conversations with people. That means have people in your life that you can have healthy communication, healthy conversations with. Under taking better care of yourself, don't hold on to unresolved problems. Get it worked out. Get it worked out so that you don't have it eating away at you, as we all sometimes do. Examine areas you need God to heal or change within you, and let Him work in those areas. Don't make excuses. Don't say, well, I'm not perfect. We know that. None of us are perfect, right? We're all messy. Come on. But we don't want to make excuses. We don't want to say, well, I'm not going to deal with that because we all got problems. Let's not do that. Let's really take a look at those things that need to be changed within us and ask God to help us in those areas, to change those areas and get help where help is needed so that you can be freed from those areas. So take better care of yourself unapologetically. Know when, this is the final one, rest and know when to say when. We are not robots. There was a movie on a long time ago, I don't remember the name of it, with robots. We are not robots. God did not make us. Listen, God rested on the seventh day, y'all. Rest. When you need rest, rest. Okay? Your body, your mind, your spirit, it all needs rest. Know when to say when. Know when you have reached your max, you have reached your limit, and it's time to pull back. Okay, so all of that's under take better care of yourself unapologetically. Feed off the word. Feed off the word. I find that the more I feed off the word, the less I feed off of junk. Come on, y'all. I'm sure that woman with the issue of blood had to somehow keep her focus on the main thing, right? So we want to keep our focus on the main thing. We want to feed off the word. That'll help us to avoid feeding off of the junk. And then the you in attitude is understand. Understand that you're not the only one with hurts, needs, and demands on your life. You're not the only one. I'm not the only one. Give the understanding that you need to receive. I believe that woman with the issue of blood needed a lot of understanding. And I don't think she had that around her. I think the community that she was in, and we all choose communities to be in. And when I say community, I'm not just talking about where you live. We choose communities to be in. But have those communities also chosen us? That's important. That woman was living in a community, but did that community that she was living in choose her? Was the doorbell ringing? Were women bringing over, cabbage and salads and baked chicken? Were the women coming with sanitary pads and cloves and anointing oil, praying over her? Were the women showing up for her? Or was it that she was in a community, but they didn't make her feel of the community? And so we've got to understand that we're not the only one with hurts, needs, and demands on our lives. We've got to be understanding toward each other as women and be caring enough to say, it's not all about me. You're going through stuff. I'm going through stuff. See each other. Hear each other. Beyond the laughing and joking, look for a woman that needs you, your touch, your encouragement, your hugs, your kindness. And it's not always going to be someone you call friend. So the understanding that we need to be able to give that understanding as well. And then the D in attitude is don't give up. Don't give up no matter how hard it looks, no matter how bad it feels, no matter how rough it gets, no matter how frustrating your situation is. I had a client 2 weeks ago who said she was ready to just give up on her job. And I had to coach her through her particular situation. But sometimes when the stress is so strong on us, whether it's spiritual or whether it's on your job or whether it's through your business or in your family or in your place of worship, wherever it is, sometimes the pressures and the stresses and the problems and the trials and tribulations can be so heavy you want to give up. Or sometimes it's just that things are not working. It's just not working the way you thought it would work. Doesn't seem to be working the way you believe God showed you that it would work. And you're getting weary, you're getting tired, and you're saying, you know what? I think I'm just going to give this up. Don't do it without talking with God. Don't give up because of pressure. Don't give up because of challenges. I remember, I think it was about 3 years ago, when someone said to me, maybe you should stop using the language of challenge, you know, of being challenged to grow, because challenge is such a negative word. And I said, whoop. What's the matter with the word challenge? Come on, we got to put on our big girl boots. I said big girl boots. We got to put on our big girl boots. There's nothing wrong with it. We're all going to be challenged to grow. That should be okay. That should be okay. Now, well, I won't say that. There's nothing wrong with being challenged to grow. There's nothing wrong with that word. Because do we want to just be pacified? Do we want everything to just be easy? Do we want to kind of just lay back and let God just send it all, every bit? Now, maybe for some of you going, yeah, you know, okay, Lisa, that does sound kind of good. But we wouldn't appreciate it as much if we weren't praying for it, declaring it, speaking the word over it, working hard, having good work ethic, being focused, being intentional, keeping our word, having healthy communication, being committed, being consistent, being persistent. And if something's really not working, then you respectfully step out of it. If it's really your time to let it go, respectfully step out of it. Or if you stepped into something and maybe it ended up not being what you thought or what you were told, and it's just not flowing for you, that's something you're going to want to step out of, right? To make room for who needs to step in. But what I'm talking about when I say don't give up, I mean when the pressure's on and, you know, you're just like, oh, I can't do it. I'm just done with it. Don't do it. Not without praying and not without thinking it through, not without asking God for wisdom and direction. And then finally, E is expect God to move. Expect God to move because he loves you. Expect God to move because he loves you, because he made you fearfully and wonderfully made, because you are his workmanship. You are his adored. You are his everlasting love. Expect God to move in your life as you end 2022 and step into 2023. Expect God to move. As a matter of fact, take a minute and look back over your shoulder over the year and see all the ways and times that God has already moved on your behalf. All of the doors and opportunities he's opened. All of the times, all of the doors and opportunities that he's closed because they weren't for you and he saved you some trouble. Come on. Look back over all this year. There are things that God saved you from that you have no idea about. There are accidents and problems that God stepped in front of and said, not now or not ever, not her, this is not happening. You have no idea. There are blessings that came to you that you might be saying, oh, you know, thank God for luck. It's not luck, it's blessings, it's God. There's things that have opened up for you that only God could give to you. There's problems and situations that you had going on all year and God stepped in the middle of that and he worked it out for you. You might be in something right now. I sure am in something right now. And you might be saying, you know, Lisa, it hasn't been worked out yet. That's okay. Expect God to move on your behalf. Why? Because he loves you. He loves you. And he will never fail you. He will never fail you. Trust him. Put your whole trust into him. Because this woman with the issue of blood, she had to put her trust in the Lord in that moment. When she heard he was in town, she had done all she could do. And she said, I'm just going to, if I got to get down on the floor and crawl through, if I got to bump up against a couple of feet, if I got to bump up against a couple of ankles, if they kick me, if they step on me because they don't want me to touch them, I don't care. If I get bruised and battered through this, I don't care. Because I know the hell that I've walked through for the last 12 years, and it's time for me to be healed. Come on, declare that over your own self. Declare that over your own self. It's time out for women leaders to act like we don't need healing from things that we're dealing with, or to be afraid to confess that there's struggles and situations that we're going through. It doesn't mean you're not a good leader. Doesn't mean you're not a powerful leader. Doesn't mean you're not called by God to lead. What it does mean is that you're human. And what it does mean is that maybe you're living at a level where you're doing what God has told you to do, and you're making the enemy mad. So he's coming for you. He's coming for you. But count it all joy when you're facing trials and tribulations. God loves you. Expect him to move. I hope this message has blessed you in some way. This is Lisa Shaw with LisaShawCares.com, and I'm here praying for you. Walk through attitude as an acronym. Walk through it. See where, I want to give you this action item. What's your current attitude about what you've been dealing with? Which one of these points speak most to you? What's one that you most need to be intentional about working on as you prepare to leave 2022 and enter into 2023? I'd love to hear from you at LisaShawCares.com. God bless you.